Hello and welcome to News9 Mediaverse. My name is Brijesh Pandey. In the latest developments in Manipur, the state government has formed a committee to probe allegation of excessive use of force on the protesters. This committee will be led by IGP, Inspector General of Police Administration K. Jayant, and will have the authority to take action against any personnel found guilty of using excessive force. Remember, there were several videos which were doing the rounds on social media which showed security forces using force to dispel gathering. Now, since we did not vouch for the authenticity of those videos, we did not play it out here in News9 Live, but this is what has led to this formation of this committee. Meanwhile, a three-member committee appointed by the Supreme Court has issued directives to the Manipur government to identify and protect all religious buildings in the state. The committee's aim is to protect these religious structures from damage, destruction and encroachment, especially in the context of ongoing ethnic clashes in Manipur since May 3rd. The committee emphasized the importance of safeguarding the properties of displaced persons and preventing encroachment on properties that have been damaged. This comes after violent protests emerged in Imphal Valley after the photos of two missing youths, missing since July, circulated on the social media. You can see the visuals which are there on our screen, which is being played. These are yesterday's visuals where people had gathered to to protest against what they call the kind of lack of action, and they're demanding that all the perpetrators behind the killing of two individuals should be put behind bar and strict action should be taken against them. You can see these visuals. They are a clear, they're reflecting the kind of anger that is on the ground. The situation has led to a security clampdown and imposition of curfew in the area. Now, for this discussion on these three aspects, I'm joined by Thongamilal Dongal, who's a research scholar, National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, Dr. M. Ramananda Singh, Associate Professor, Kerodimal College, University of Delhi, and Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, Defense Expert. Gentlemen, welcome all of you to News9 Live. First, I'll go to Dr. M. Ramananda Singh. Dr. Singh, you saw the letter, the committee which has been formed by the state government, a three-member committee led by Inspector General of Police, formulate to take strict action and also probe what is being alleged as excessive use of force. Can you elaborate on this? What exactly is this excessive use of force which is being talked about, and how grim the situation is?
Yeah, Brijesh, see, when you talk about the use of excessive powers by the armed force, it's not new to Manipur, during this almost a 5 month. You have been hearing from the beginning that there's some, particular specific force, or maybe Assam Rifle, or maybe police, or maybe paramilitary, or maybe rapid action force has been using time to time in a very specific area where they are using, killing of the people, shooting people in the, in the gathering without any arm and instigations. Now, the recent the issue is that the two youth, which is, including 17 years old girls, was missing from, 17 July, July month. And recently, the photographs was emerged where their dead bodies are lying somewhere in the not a specific area, but it was suspected to be in the hill regions. Because of that, students of the student communities are coming out for, demanding for a justice. And in that protest, where the students are totally unarmed, they are doing and demanding for the justice, and they demand for immediate actions against those who involved in kidnapping and murdering of that youth. So therefore, the many students organizations in Imphal regions were protesting. But now, recently, the development is so much so that they have taken action on a student, even shooting on the arm. of a one student. You will see the footage you may have seen in the social media. It was horrified. It was totally horrified. It was, so many students, more than 30 students was got injuries in some particular the protest. And these kind of action on the student, where the students are expected to be regarded and to be built for the future of the whole country. Now the dealings of the students should not be in this way. You can see the even the National Commission for the human right, Manipur, they have made a statement also. While dealing with the student, you may use different means. Even they can use water cannon to disperse the students. But why they are using so much force? They are directly shooting on the student. They are using tear gas and without an ambulance. And students are so much injury. You will find and you will see a lot of reports in the newspapers and the social media. So these kind of action is highly condemnable. They do not have sensible mind to deal with the ongoing crisis. The whole force operating in Manipur is, I would say I am very, regarding the force, but using of such kind of forces against a student is highly. As a teachers, I totally condemn on such kind of act.
Okay. I'm also joined by Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Sir, what does this augur for the force? The force is already, battling a kind of perception war which is going on in the state of Manipur, where Meiteis have openly said that there are certain divisions in Assam Rifles they do not trust. The same is being said by the army, though, we want to make it very clear. Here at News9 Live, we hold our forces above any such aspersions. But then there is the thing which is happening on the ground. And then comes this report that, that there is excessive use of force to quell the protest. And, several videos are also doing the round. There are talks about pellet guns being fired. Do you think that the image of the army is going to take a hit? Or how do you see this 3-member committee probing it?
Brijesh, thank you very much. At the very outset, violence has to be condemned, first and foremost. And it's been on since a long, long time. Now, it's been there since May, as everybody is aware of it. Now, let's start to begin with. There's so much of distrust between the forces and the two communities, and between the two communities, that it is very difficult now unless they are on the same page. Let's take the case of this existing thing that is happening. Now, the Manipur police takes care of the plains, that is the Imphal East, Imphal West. And the Assam Rifle has been told to guard the hills. Now, hills which have 90% hills being protected have 10% population. And 70% population is a 10% area, which is invariably. So all that what you are showing is part of which are plains. And that is where the problem is occurring again and again because of excessive protests that are going on for this thing between the two communities. So if there is distrust, this is what is going to happen. First and foremost, let's be very, very honest about it. Trust and let the security forces treat everybody as a Manipuri. There is no Kuki, there is no Meiti, there is no Naga, there is no Kom. Everybody is one, and yet now wanting to first bring peace in that entire area. There has been a total mistrust amongst them and what is going on. Now, let's take the fact that how do we go about it? That is the most important thing. How do we go about it? Until and unless we have a level playing field. Now, the level playing field, when I say this, both the communities have to understand. The Meiteis, which are in larger number, 53% of the population comprises of the Meiteis, who are reasonably prosperous also, and also have economic control and political control, but are only confined to the 10% of the area. Now you have the Kukis, who are, say, about 16-17% of the population, confined to a larger hill section, which of course is shared between the Nagas and they themselves. Now, at this point of time, a thing like having converted into a tribe and then their occupation will be, hills will be there. It sounds a little bit, now, wherever it may be, whatever it may be, everybody is an OBC there, but OBC doesn't give them, the fight is for the land. And that is where the whole thing starts off with. The cookies wouldn't want them to come and take the land in the
But do you
So
think
the hill
I
people
get that
take
I
the
get
land.
that I get the historical perspective, sir. But the thing is that do you see this three-member committee, just the committee which has been formed? Do you see them hindering the way armed forces is going to work? Because once you appoint a committee to probe into such situation, do you see them going a bit slow on this?
See, until and unless the population themselves, if they come in such huge numbers, what happened on the 3rd of May? You had the integrated tribal leaders forum over there, and you see what happened subsequently to that. So you have to really control. Everybody has to be controlled, and one has to be firm. You just cannot have protests and not like. See, once you have decided now to protest, then it's very difficult. One has to come with a firm hand. That is the first thing, because everybody, if there is a curfew imposed, everybody must be in their respective home. Now, if you are not at your respective home, then it's very difficult. Now, the fact still remains there are 4,000 weapons, presuming. Let's presume that one community has taken all the weapons, but the other community has also equal number of weapons floating around. They are also automatic. So there's a sizable amount. Now, why this, Brijesh, just give me a minute. Why this is happening around is primarily because in Myanmar for the last 28 months, there has been a total, I would say, crackdown on the population over there, resulting in almost 60,000 people from Myanmar migrating into the areas of Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland from there. Now, they have same ethnic, communities which exist on both sides. So that's where the whole thing. Then there's narco. There's so much of trade which is going on in Golden Triangle trade of drugs which is going on. There are no Metis,
Okay.
there are no cookies, there are no Pangals, and there are no Nagas. Everybody is only dealing in drugs from where the money is coming. Now, how much of the drug money is coming? You'll be surprised. If the budget of Manipur government is about 35,000 crore, the drug money is
Okay.
70,000 crore. That's
Okay.
the kind of thing.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
requires-
Before I go to Mr. Dongle, I would like to play these visuals which are there. I mean, it looks like that the night of Manipur is like punctuated by the sound of explosion of tear gas shells and then the smoke which is coming out of it. And this is in a way, you can see a person running away from there. Then there are silent protests which is happening to demand action against the perpetrators of crime, against the killing of 2 youths. I mean, these visuals are the telling story of the fragile peace, which we are talking about. You can see what is lying on the road, a semi-deserted road, which shows the kind of brunt it has taken some time back. These explosions are telling a story which is, the reality of Manipur as we speak. Unfortunate, very unfortunate, but the reality. Thangamlal Dongal, I just want to ask you one thing. Do you see this particular registration or forming of a committee led by an IGP acting as a spanner in the way security forces are working?
Yeah, Brijesh, good evening.
Good evening.
I think I'd like to begin by saying that to a certain extent, the forming of a 3-member committee to probe into the alleged involvement of or the excessive use of force by the men in uniform, I think to a certain extent is going to curtail or otherwise put speed breaker towards bringing in a law and order, or otherwise bringing in normalcy from the part of the men in uniform. Why I say this is because, although I empathize those students who are suffering, those especially who have been hurt and are severely injured, I also would like to bring in a news clip that was reported, wherein it says the army use of force, or otherwise the use of those pellet guns, which the men in uniform have denied, but then it seems that it was evident that it was the use of pellet guns. The army, or otherwise the news clip, the army claimed that there are few militants dressed in black uniform who were instigating the mobs. This is not my saying. I'm saying it from a news report that has come up.
Okay.
I'm not very sure.
Yeah, I'm glad that you clarified, because News9 Live holds no counter. I'll come to you. I'll come to you, Mr. Ramanand Singh. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is that we don't know, to a certain extent. We should also look at the other side and view how the men in uniform are walking a tightrope in order to control such sort of violent mobs, because the protest, which was supposed to be peaceful, must have been dealt with in a mature manner. The fact that during the initial protests, I was informed that student representatives went to meet the chief minister, and certain decisions must have been taken at the meeting, but I don't know who instigated, what prompted students to go violent, and eventually we see the unfolding of all this unwanted injuries, unwanted destruction of properties, and all of this. And so, to my mind, I believe that if we, to a certain extent, probe into through this committee, I think the men in uniform, those people who are supposed to bring, normalcy in the state, to a certain extent, we are pulling their legs. But I believe that there can be a mature way. We can always find a way to be dealing with, because the fact that the armies, or otherwise the men in uniform, are trained to deal with this sort of mobs and violence, I think there has to be a give and take, or otherwise a negotiation between those people, the committee which is formed to probe into, and also look into the tightrope, and also put ourselves in the shoe of the men in uniform, and on how they should actually deal with this sort of problems. Because just pinpointing and finger pointing on the men in uniform can be, I believe that can be a wrong case from my point of view.
Okay, I would like to inform our viewers that last night the news came that there was a mob which tried to attack CM Biren Singh's ancestral house, but the situation was immediately brought back to control. No damage was done, and the Manipur police, immediately clarified within some time that the news of CM's personal residence being mobbed is false and misleading, and adequate security is already in place. Ramananda Singh ji, how do you view this situation? Because you heard what Mr. Dongle said. You also heard what Lieutenant General said. The fact is also that now there is a group of people, a mob, which is now started targeting people at the higher pedestal, like in the sense an MLA or a member of parliament, or people holding higher offices and all. They have now been started targeting. What exactly does this tell of, or where exactly do you think this entire conflict is veering towards?
The same thing I will talk about. The situation is so changed now. People have so much angriness among each other and the against the government. Since almost 5 months, you are not able to bring any positive steps for the peace and the normalcy in the state. People are homeless. People do not have food to eat. So obviously this is the way it will be, and it will continue to do. Even you can expect more incidents of such kind, or more violence of such kind towards the governments or towards each other, because you can't predict anything at this situation, because situation has so much change. I'm telling you, between the community, you have seen from last 4 months, there are so many heads, so many hatreds, so many mistrusts, and now the people of Manipur is so much angry. Particularly the Meiteis are so much angry because of so many incidents. People want peace. Whatever the condition we have, people want. You can see there are many youth of Manipur are coming to Delhi to meet the the MLAs were in the station in the Delhi to for bringing of the peace. Even they come to Delhi also to at least try to meet them and try to talk about the peace. Now the situation is like, when they do not have trust on the MLAs, their representative, and the governments, what to do? They will go out on the road and they will say the protest. Now, very specifically, I'm telling you, during this few days, you will see that there are the students and there are the youth people coming out. They are totally unarmed. Initially, when they have started for the demand of the justice for the murdering of the students, they are totally students in uniform. They are coming out from the school, and you are instigated the student. You throw the tear gas into them directly. You will see even I have a footage also. They directly throw the tear gas to the student. How can you do that? You fire on the student to disperse. This is not the way. They are using the bike wires in the barricade, and they do not use any other means to disperse the student. Even if they do not do any kind of balance in the initial period, I'll tell you, you can see all those footage also. Now they instigate it and students are provoked. That's why students coming out with firing of tires on the road and like that. So still they do not see so many kind of weapons or those kind. They may use some kind of stone somewhere in some protest, but that is after the force use their power to disperse them. That is why I'm telling you, the Manipur government should try to build trust deficit policy, where you can think about the trust building policy.
Ramananda ji, absolutely.
Sir, just a minute.
Yeah, please.
Just a minute. You can't just suppress the people and the voice of the people. You have to talk to people. You have to deal with some confidence. You have to make a policy of the trust building, where you can see that yes, we are here to protect you. You have to build like that. Now the students or the people, wherever they are feeling insecure in the presence of the police or in presence of the army. Then whom we can trust?
I see. No, one of the thing which Ramananda, I'll come back to you immediately. Because one of the things which we have been talking about for a very long time now, you have been a regular guest at our show. The fact is that that the entire political establishment is missing. We see student protesting, we see army on the ground, we see police on the ground, we see burning tires. I mean, we see all kind of players, if I may use the word, or actors in this thing. But the main class, which is the political class, the elected representatives, they have simply done a vanishing act. And what I have been given to understand is that 20 MLAs of Manipur who are currently camping in Delhi have urged the centre to take action against those behind the kidnapping and killing of 2 youths in the state. And they have urged the Home Minister to ensure that the CBI probe is expedited. Why exactly is the political establishment missing, and why exactly is they're not able to come forward, because they are the elected representative of the people?
See, that is the point where we should focus on. Now you are the representative of the people. You are the running the government. You do not have a policy for bringing a peace. You don't debate about it. You don't discuss about it in the assembly. You never have meetings with the opposition. You never had a collective meeting. I'm talking about. Whenever the chief minister went to Delhi, they meet the home ministers privately. Some MLAs, when they also meet privately. This is not a way to deal with such kind of the crisis in Manipur. You have to collectively go there, discuss it properly. What is the root cause? What should be the probable solution, and how to provide the platform for discussion, platform for negotiation, and platform for bringing the peace.
But then what is keeping them away, Mr. Singh? But what is keeping them away?
Basically, the basic rule is the political will to bring every community into a platform. where the government of the Manipur and the government of India should do the collective discussion. They should call Nagas, they should call Kukis, they should call Meiteis together and have a discussion in one room, in the presence of Prime Minister, in the presence of Home Minister. Discuss it. What is the problem? What is the root cause? What kind of the means we can bring? We can try to solve the problem. Now they are separating meeting. They also convincing, and they told to the Kuki people. They also told to Naga people that we'll do for you, and even to the Meitei people. Now, how can you bring this peace or a solution without the proper discussions and proper agreement with each other? Now, since the majority community, the three communities are even you can call the Muslim Pangad also to have a discussion with them. So try to have a common platform for the discussion so that the probable solution can bring. Now, private meetings and private, have a conversation will not solve the problem. That is what I have learned from observing these things from last 4 months in these dealings, the government dealings with Manipur crisis.
Okay,
that is missing.
Yeah, General Sanjay Kulkarni ji, there's one thing also that that we see police action, and that has been the kind of feedback which we've gotten. The kind of crackdown which we're witnessing is the kind of crackdown which is completely absent in the initial days. There are voices who are saying that if this kind of crackdown has to be done, the crackdown has to be done on the people who are carrying illegal guns. Why is there not being that kind of crackdown on them? What is stopping the army? What is stopping the police? Or what is stopping the joint command from carrying out that kind of crackdown? Because, I mean, let's be clear that getting back those guns are one of the very important prerequisites before any peace can return to Manipur.
Brijesh, that is perfectly fine. And that is exactly what is being asked for. That is why you have all these, open counters ki come and deposit the weapons. I'll say that there are, say, about 4,000 to 5,000 weapons looted from the armory, whatever. There are weapons coming in. That is the root cause. Now, that is again being used one against the other community, maybe snipers being used, long distance weapons being used, highly sophisticated weapons being used. That is one part. The second part is there are, even when we say the students are unarmed, obviously the students will be unarmed. If you say Mira Baby, then they will obviously be unarmed. The ladies are going to be unarmed. Everybody is unarmed. But the fact remains, if thousands and thousands of people start approaching, then it's total lawlessness. Where is all this happening? It's all happening in Imphal. That's the plain area. Whatever you are showing is happening in the plain area. Yeah. That's where the population is. That is where everything is being rooted. And that is where the distrust has come in. The distrust has come in for where the Meiteis do not trust the Assam rifle, they're not trusting. Now you find that the Kukis are wanting Assam rifles to defend. Now Assam rifles are definitely defending everybody. And they are not against anybody. If that they've been told that they will be defending this particular hill area, they're defending the hill area. The Manipur police has been told they will defend the Imphal area, they're defending the Imphal area. Now, what I agree with Ramanand is only on one issue, 100%. They ought to be in the same room. You call the Meiteis, the Kukis won't turn up. What he says, you call the Kukis, the Meiteis won't turn up. You call the Nagas won't turn up. The Koms won't turn up. The Pangals won't turn up. Unless all of them turn up, and there's a requirement that all of them sit in one room and decide. One day living, I've been there. I was there on the 9th of April. You had a fantastic Miss India show in the stadium over there. I've attended all of it over there, and then come back. Attended the G20, one of the chapters being discussed over there. So there's been a lot of love and affection between all of them. Yes, if the distrust has now come up between the two ethnic communities, it can be bridged. It can only be done by dialogue. It cannot be done, and for which it is absolutely essential. Two things which must be done immediately. First, the illegal immigrants have to be identified. Who are these illegal immigrants? For which, of course, if the Supreme Court has given directions, issue fresh Aadhaar cards. Absolutely fresh. All the Aadhaar cards over there. And so we know exactly who those people are. Now, the demand that close that 16 kilometer of free access, it may not really work out, closing down 16 kilometers of free access. The weapons, irrespective of whether they're there, they must be returned. If once the weapons are returned, and then they should be talking until and unless there is dialogue. How would anybody progress? There has to be a dialogue.
Mr. Dongal, one question which somehow, sneaks in ever since the Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar said, who are these illegal immigrants?
I think much has been said and discussed from the 3rd of May this year, even in this news channel. And illegal immigrants, the government is taking steps. And yesterday also I was listening to the news discussion, and even Dr. Haukip has also highlighted how the government has formed a committee, and I think the probe is, underway. So in that sense, for me, this is as much as I like to take the issue of illegal immigrants as one part. There is a bigger picture which was already, laid bare before us, even in the beginning of our discussion, even in this news channel. That is how the valley based Meitei Lipun, Arambai Tingol, all these things, all these groups which were supposed to be a cultural groups or cultural organizations, these people were the one training under the nose of the so-called the present dispensation, the government, and also under the watchful eye of the state police. And in fact, in order to address this actual problem, many people tend to blame illegal immigration. I'm totally of the opinion, and I totally agree that yes, there is issue of illegal immigrants, but the fact that whenever we say illegal immigrants and we equate that to one particular community, that is also a wrong prism to look at it. Because illegal immigrants, because across the border, you have not just the Kukis, we also have the Nagas, you also have the Meiteis. And if it is the real issue of illegal immigrants, yes, I believe that we all share equal responsibility and not just one particular community, that is the Kukijo community. And yeah, coming back to what I was just saying, the problem before I come to one point, my point, I like to make mention of this point, which was the 5 militants, or otherwise the 5 militants who were arrested, and there was a protest, and then eventually 4 were released, and 1 was again arrested by NIA and taken to New Delhi. And the report...
I'll come to you, Ramanandaji. Yeah, please go ahead, Omar.
Yeah. The report from, investigation reveals how there is an interplay of, so to say, militants or terrorist organization belonging to the based militant organization across the border and operating in Manipur. I'm not saying this. It was an investigation which was done on the person who was caught hold on this month among the 5 members who camouflage themselves in a commando uniform. So, and coming back, we have like I said, the cultural organization, all those organizations taking shape, and eventually that's what everybody, and otherwise everybody who has been following the news very closely, and the problem in Manipur will be able to confidently say that this was a pre-planned. But many still from the other communities tend to blame the peace rally that took place in Churatanpur, although the peace rally was across the hill districts.
Okay.
So if you're really trying to pinpoint or otherwise delve deep into the problem of Manipur, not just the illegal immigrants, it is at all illegal immigrants issue. We also share equal responsibility amongst the communities, and that should be looked into. And like I said, point 2 is obviously the mushrooming of those cultural organizations in order to revive the dying Sanamahism, the religion, the original Meitei religion that the Meitei people follow. Because we have also seen how salitary flag, which was hoisted everywhere in Manipur during the violence, the onset of the violence on 3rd May and until today. And day before yesterday also, we saw how during the student protest, we have seen one of the students, I believe, climbed up the top of the Tobal DC office and then, planted the salitary flag. So you have to also look at different angle and also try to dig deeper and also understand how actually, that this violence took shape and eventually spiral out of control.
Okay. Ramanandaji, you wanted to respond to this.
I just wanted to respond to my friend Donjal said. Donjal has, include many points which is not very relevant to this particular, but he just wanted to highlight few things on the show. So that's why I just wanted to respond. Number one, you talk about the 3rd May. See, balance started from Chuchampur. Everybody knows that. Number one. Number two, where in the peace rally there was a gunman. That is already circulated in social media. Everybody knows that. Okay. All right. Number one. Number two.
I'll come to you. Let him finish first.
House was burned down from the Chuchampur side only, and it comes to the the valley side. That point is very clear. And the next point is the 5 people who have been arrested. That was produced in the court, and the 4 was given the bail, and the 5th one was rearrested again, and he is arrested by the NIA in Delhi. So whatever the rule and the rule of the law has to take care of, if anything happen wrong or anything which are against the rules of the law, that has to be taken care. So why you should not blame on only Meiteis on this count. And then the fourth point which I want to say, the saliterate is a respect in the regard of Meiteis. It is not like you wanted to so like we want independence kind of thing. It's not that it's a regard for the Meitei. If you read the Meitei cultures, you will find that this saliterate is our soul and the regard for the Meitei communities. See, we are not comparing with India flag and the saliterate. Is just our respect and regard to our traditions. All right. So that's why mixing with these idea of balance and the issues of Meiteis, and the Meiteis are only the aggressors, like that is not a good idea. Now the immigration issue has Brijesh asked about it is on record that the immigration issues, as General Saab has also talked about, it's a big issues to Manipur from the beginning. But recently, the committee headed by the minister, the Letko Havkiv, also already clarified that within the 2 months you will find more than 2,000 the illegal immigration was found during only 2 months investigation or 2 months counting of that illegal. So illegal issues are big issues in Manipur, whether it may be cookies or it may be Meiteis or it may be Nagas. It should be solved by rules and the laws of the country. And there is a big challenges and big threat to Manipur integrity. It threat to the Manipur cultures. Our diversified cultures in Manipur. That is should be acceptable to everyone. One has to take some kind of policy. One has to make some kind of policy to deal with such kind of the influx of a large number of illegal immigrants from other countries.
Okay, yeah. I'll let Mr. Dongal respond to it. Just a personal request. How do you pronounce the name, Dongal or Downjal, as Mr. Ramananda was saying?
It's Dongel.
Dongyal. So, okay. Yeah, Dongel. Mr. Dongal, yeah, please respond.
Yeah. Let me respond to Dr. Ramananda.
Because after that, I'll go to discuss one another piece of very important news which has come out about what the Supreme Court panel has to talk about the places, how to protect worship places, properties of displayed and all. But yeah, first respond, then I'll go to
very quickly and brief.
No, see, please, take your time.
until today, there is a misconception regarding how the violence started in Churachandpur, and the branding of AK-47 during the peace rally. This is utterly false and a misconception. I'll clarify this. The peace rally started around 10 a.m. in the morning and completed to somewhere around 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon. And you will see the branding of the AK-47 came later, only in the evening, which was towards the border of Churachandpur and Bishnupur district. And I'm told very clearly that there was no AK-47 at the peace rally because the police were there. See, this is a misconception, and I'm very, very upset whenever I see one of the, aspiring politician by the name, an actor turned politician, Mahesh. Mr. Mahesh, propagating all this false narratives across the nation. And whenever we hear this sort of false allegation, it gives us, it's a pain to see when somebody is so misinformed. And in fact, why was that AK-47? I agree. There's a proof. I agree. We should be daring to call a spade a spade. Therefore, I said, yes, there was AK-47. But then that happened, I'm told, because I spoke to those people who were part of the peace rally and later went to when they're part of the violent mob because of the because of the violence between the two communities later. Now, they said very clearly that AK-47 came into picture only when one of the two key men was shot dead, and that the first house which was burned was of a Vaipe house in Turbung, I think in Kangwai. So because of that, and there was another meeting man who was holding a pistol and shouting racist slurs against the cookies, and that's how things happen and spiral into. And see, if you look at now, why we say this pre-plan is because we have also seen there's a proof of how the houses in Imphal, the game village in Imphal, Langol area were pre-marked with red ink so as to precisely attack. And the attack happened at night. How can somebody be so precise in attacking those houses? Or for that matter, the next day on the 4th of May.
The wrong information. Donjal is a
wrong I'll come to you. I'll come to you, Mr. Ramanand Singh.
It's not wrong. We should be able to accept.
No, Mr. Donia, you just finish your point. Then I'll let Mr. Ramanand Singh respond to it, please.
Yeah, because these are all pre-planned. That is the reason why these attack is being able to be carried out very precisely and in a precise manner. And one more thing also, that, sir, you talk about Salai Tarit as, as I said, respect and intercultural, so to say, manifestation of the glorious Meitei culture. I do agree. But then at the same time, I'm also appalled or otherwise confused as to why the Meiteis would be so much against the Hindi movie, which we have banned for the past how many years? 20 years. Hindi movie was banned. And we have also seen how the first movie after 20 years was screened in Churachandpur, the movie Uri. Uri was first screened. This sort of, paradox that has existed even in the beliefs and practices of our valley-based community. I think this itself is confusing, and at the same time, this itself, I think, gives a way for more, so to say, more upspringing of misunderstanding, or otherwise hatred, or otherwise the so-called angst between the two communities. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Ramanand Singh, you wanted to respond to this.
Very quickly, Dongal has, put very different narrative to this. Even Brijesh in this show, in the beginning of the crisis, even our Kuki communities have accepted here that the incident was started and instigated by burning of Indo-Kuki gate by Meiteis. The alleged Meitei burned, then they started. Initially, the burning of the house started at 2 o'clock itself, and then the involvement of the gunsmen and other people had involved and continued till the night. They have people have started going out from the house because they have burned their house. Childrens are the put up on the soldiers by their parents, and they're moving out from the Chuchampu regions, and the narrative you cannot change. There is a lot of footage available, and where the Meitei guns, Meitei house are burned, the gunmen were standing there, and with the support of the gunmen, it was burned. Everything is there with time, in the things are there. Number one. Number two, see, narrating the story of we are Meiteis are against the Hindi movies. I definitely will accept in one point. That was before 2000, before you can say 10 years ago. Yes, there are many issues in Manipur. You have also see that there are the insurgent issues in Manipur from the beginning. And there are the underground groups from both Nagas, Meiteis, and Kukis. So there are the issues of that's why the ASPA was implemented in the Northeast. So that narrative should not come to the current narrative. When you show the Uri in your the Kuki region, Chuchampur, you show that you are more Indian than the Meiteis. So that kind of narrative is useless for all the communities in Manipur. We are Indian, and I'm proud to be Indian. And yes, the issues are big. Manipur crisis is developed because of our internal conflict, because of mistrust among the communities, and there are a political instigations. There are political conspiracy in the Northeast. We must accept it. Even there are cooking communities are instigating the whole political scenario. Why these 10 MLAs being MLAs are running away? If they are they are still, if a member of the assembly, they should come out, and they should demand in the floor of the house.
Mr. Raman Singh, I just wanted to read out this piece, because the committee which has been formed by the Supreme Court, they have asked the state government, which is the Manipur government, to immediately identify all religious buildings in the state and protect them from damage, destruction and encroachment. And the panel has also asked the state to ensure the protection of the properties of the displaced persons, as well as the properties which have been destroyed, burnt in the violence, and prevent their encroachment. And they should immediately identify all religious buildings, which include churches, Hindu temples, Sanamahi temples, mosques, and any building of any other religion which is existing at present or vandalized. What do you have to say, Mr. Donyal, on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a high time that it's the right time for the Supreme Court to intervene and say that, adequately all this burning down of religious institutions and place of worship must be brought to light, and that, compensated adequately. Until the day, we have more than 300 churches with a burned down in Fal, and also in the peripheries, villages belonging to the Kuki-Jo community. So,
which has been given is 254 churches and 132 temples by the state government to the Supreme Court.
I am not very sure of the number of temples, because I don't know how.
So I'm telling you what the state government has
side
told the Supreme Court.
Okay. See, the number of temples, I don't know how the Meiteis have counted the number of temples, but as far as I know, the only temple that is destroyed that I know is the one in Laika, which is in Kampupi district. Otherwise, most of the temples which are lying in Churachandpur and other districts are intact. And if you are to count, the Meiteis are to count the kind of place of worship that they build for themselves. I don't know what it is called, in their homes as a place, as a temple. Then I think every Kuki households, which is more than 1,000 households, have their, so to say, place of worship even in their homes, on homes. So if you have to count everything, then it comes to more than 1,000, place of worship that is burned down. So if you see the quantum and also look at the numbers, it is telling and very clear that.
Okay, Mr. Raman Singh, I'll just take his word and come back. Yeah, Mr. Raman Singh.
Yeah,
what do you have to say about this?
I
that the numbers of the temple is at dispute.
See, it is approximately 200 around the churches are destroyed. It was reported in a newspaper, and approximately 125 around the temples are destroyed. But see, Brijesh is not about only the figures. Figure can be ascertained by committees. Only thing is these kind of the things, without the direction of the Supreme Court, government has to do. But see, the irony is that the government is silent and the Supreme Court is directing them. And number one. Number two, another very important point is not only the protection of the church, protection of the temples, there should be the life of the people. Very important is government, the Supreme Court should direct the state government to protect the life of the people in Manipur.
Absolutely.
So that is very important.
Okay. And the news which is coming in is that the latest development in Manipur, the state government has formed a committee to probe allegations of excessive use of force on the protesters. The committee, we have been told, will be led by IGP administration K. Jayanta and will have the authority to take action against any personnel found guilty of using excessive force. Meanwhile, a 3-member committee appointed by Supreme Court has issued directives to the Manipur government to identify and protect all religious buildings in the state.
When a patient's mother touches my feet, begging to save her child's life, I don't feel empowered. I feel humiliated.
To normal people, the doctor is somewhere in between us and the God.
I'm just an instrument in the hands of God.
What you have initiated in making healthcare affordable to Indians.
India